Hey, what's up, developers? Welcome back to Developers Commute. My name is Hitesh Kohli, and in this video, we're going to start with Kotlin basics. So here are the things that I've learned about Kotlin basics. Let's get started with the foundations. Now, what is exactly Kotlin? Kotlin is the language that is being used to program Android, and as well as it is used to architect backend as well with the help of Ktor. And Kotlin as a language has become really popular over the years. So what does actually Kotlin offer? Let's get down to the basics. Now, the first thing that Kotlin offers is basically it's a statically typed language. Now, what do we mean by statically typed language? Statically typed language means that the value of any kind of variable should be known on the compile time. Now, let me give you an example. Now, what do I mean by statically typed language? Let's suppose we create a variable, like var name of type of string, and this is not initialized. Now, if I initialize it as Hitesh is here, and the value of this variable is already known, so the compiler will not give us any errors on the compile time. Now, I have this graph here which shows me what are the types of different languages and how things work in languages, right? Now, this is strong, static, weak, and dynamic. Now, Python is strong but dynamic in nature. C# is strong and static in nature, and here is Java. And I think so Kotlin is somewhere down here because Kotlin is basically based on Java, so it's static as well as it's strong. So it means Kotlin is strictly typed language, which means that it will spot errors on the compile time instead of going to the runtime. So before even executing the code, the Kotlin will start to spot all the errors. That's why statically and strictly are both playing together. Now, one more thing that Kotlin is known for is, of course, object-oriented. One more thing, it is concise, safe, and powerful. Now, let me give you an example here again. We have var age, let's say my age, and it is the type of int. You have int, and it should say some kind of age, right? Age is 4. I'm not 4, I'm 23. So age is 23. Now, what if I say that it is null? Now, what the compiler will say, please make int null safe, which means that please tell age that it might be null. In order to make it null safe, introduce that question mark right here, and that's how it becomes null safe. One more important aspect of Kotlin is that it's open source. It means that you can spot the code on GitHub. It's all there, and you can see how the backend of these things work. As you try to become a better programmer, a computer engineer, you should know how the backend of any languages work, and that's why we're going to go back into the GitHub and try to understand how these things work. Hopefully you will enjoy that as well, and I'll learn a lot from that. Another thing that Kotlin is actually known for is that it is 100% interoperable. It means that if I write a Java function, it will work with Kotlin. So these two languages can communicate with each other efficiently, and I think so there are many Java-based Android applications that are trying to actually converge with Kotlin. That's easy to do, and it works fine. So these were the Kotlin basics. I hope you guys enjoyed this thing. We will go ahead in the next video and try to explore more. In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about variables and data types. Now, let's get started. Now, the basics of variables, there are two variables. There are two ways to declare variables. We have var and val. The two ways to use variables inside of Kotlin. Now, so there are two ways to declare variables. Two ways are var and val. Now, what is the difference between var and val? Var is basically used for mutable type, right? And it means that the variable can be changed. And val is immutable type. It means that a variable cannot be changed. It can only be assigned. Let's say we have var name of type of string called Hitesh. Let me quickly remove this string here. As you can see, var name is equal to Hitesh, and we are removing that string because the variable can be dynamic in nature and it will be automatically assigned by the Kotlin. We don't need to actually give it type of string. It will automatically assign. So var name is equal to Hitesh. Now Hitesh will flow inside of this name, and var can also be dated, which means that I can access name here. I can make it Rahul. Name will actually change, and in the case of immutable type, if I can try and say val name is equal to Hitesh, and if I try to change the name here called name is equal to Rahul, now the compiler will actually start to give me errors because val cannot be reassigned. That's the difference between var and val. So there are many data types inside of Kotlin. For example, string, long, int, boolean, short, byte, and etc. There are many other data types inside of Kotlin, and hopefully you will get to know them as you try to use them. There's one more called char, I think, char, and of course double. There are many data types inside of Kotlin, and we can use them whatever we want. Let's go ahead and take an example of assigning a variable. Let's try to make a variable right here. We will say var name type of Hitesh right? As you can see, the compiler does not give me error. It automatically assigns name as the string type, as you can see right here. So the name is of type string. The compiler automatically assigns it to itself. I can also actually assign it as string. And if I try to give it something else, right, for example 0, now this will start to give me error. As you can see, this is error. It gives me error right here. The integer literal does not conform to the expected type of string. It gives me error, right? It should be a string type, but I can say string of type of 0, so it does not give me error, right? Now this is the type of string, right? I'll change that and I'll say Hitesh here, and let's make another variable of type of int, and this requires an int. Now guess my age. It's actually 23. I've already said it many times in this series. Now this is 23. Now let's try to print these two variables. Let's print name and let's try to print. Now let's see if it executes. Yes, it executes, and we say Hitesh and 23. Now one more thing that I want to talk about is that the name, as you can see, I've tried to make two name variables right here, var name here, and I've tried to compare these two names, and the compiler is actually giving me error, overload, resolution, ambiguity. You will see overload in the functions, but it will not happen in case of variables. So it will give you error if you try to execute these two variables, but it will not say anything about creating different variables, right? But if you try to execute these two, it will start to give errors. So this thing is an important thing to keep in mind. Hopefully you enjoyed this simple variables and data types video, and we will explore further of Kotlin basics. For now, bye bye. In this video, we're going to go forward and try to explain function to you guys in Kotlin. Previously, we have already explored how the Kotlin lays out and what are the features of Kotlin. In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about functions. Let me write down what is functions. You have 2 seconds to answer that. Good, you might have answered that, but let me explain it to you. Now, functions are a set of instructions that are reusable. Now, this is the definition of functions. I understand that you will know that. Now, let's type out a function in Kotlin and let's try to see how things work. Before we type out any other function in Kotlin, let's start with a very basic function called the fun main function. Now this is the function where the execution will start. This is the main function where the program will start to flow from. Now this is a scratch file. It doesn't need a main function, but let's just try to add a main function here. Let's say I want to just print my name function, right? Now this is a simple function, and we say print ln and say my name is Hitesh. Now this should print my name, right? If I call print my name here, and it should execute and print my name. It doesn't. If I call main here, yes, it prints my name now. So the execution flows from the main file. So how do you make a function in Kotlin? By saying fun. This is a function, and you can say whatever your name, the naming of your function will be. We make some brackets and you write the function here. Hopefully you're coming from other languages, so you know how functions work. Try to print my age. My age is 23, so I'm 23 and I'll try to print my age. And let's say print my age function is called inside of the main, and it will print somewhere right here. As you can see, it prints my age and print my name. So this is how the functions work. Now one more thing that I want to introduce is the concept of constructor. Now what do I mean by constructor? As you can see, these brackets right here, these are constructors, right? So we can actually introduce any kind of variable, anything. We can actually write anything inside of that constructor and pass it on to the function. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose this is a variable right here. This is a variable, so name of type of string. In order to actually use this function inside of the println, right, you have to introduce something called a $sign. So this $sign is called string literal. So this $sign is actually used to print whatever there is inside of this constructor. What if I want to pass two things to the function, right? For example, I want to just say age, right? You don't have to focus on what I'm doing right now. You have to just lean on and see what is happening. Just understand the concept as of now. Okay, now, and my age is, now this will print my age and my name. And it is, as you can see, this becomes red in color. It means that it is expecting some kind of thing, that constructor. Now we will say, if I say name here, as you can see, it gives me an equal to sign. It wants the name, right? It wants a name of type string. I'll give it Hitesh, right? And again, it's saying me a red line, which means it wants another constructor, another variable. And as you can see, the red line is gone now, and I can say 23 and it works, right? Now it will execute again, and you can see my name is Hitesh and my age is 23. That's how you pass on variables to the constructor of a function, and they do whatever they want with those variables. I hope you guys really enjoyed that thing. I hope it made everything about the function really clear in Kotlin. And for now, that's it. I'll see you next time.